So let me tell you what's happening on the other coast as just a way to whet your appetites about what's possible. There are now more than 100 communities in Pennsylvania, all of which, these are townships of 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 people. They're all conservative, Republican, rural farming communities. And 100 communities have all now passed ordinances that are a direct challenge to state and federal claimed jurisdiction about who decides what corporations can do. Here's just one example. In February of last year, the citizens of Shapley, Maine, voted to pass an ordinance that not only gives citizens the right to local self-governance, but it declares that the water in the town is held in public trust as a common resource for the benefit of residents and that natural ecosystems of which they are a part. Here's part of the actual ordinance, and this is about stopping Nestle Corporation, which was going to tap yet another groundwater source for its Poland Springs brand, where they make thousands of % profit, paying almost nothing, to tap really good quality water and sell it in plastic bottles for profit. Really disgusting. Oh, it's endless, but here's the way we deal with it. So here's part of the language of the ordinance which passed. We believe that the corporatization of water supplies in this community, placing the control of water in the hands of a corporate few rather than the community, would constitute tyranny and usurpation, and that we're duty-bound under the Maine Constitution to oppose such tyranny and usurpation. Remember that language in the Oregon Constitution? That same duty requires us to recognize that 2 centuries worth of governmental conferral of constitutional powers upon corporations has deprived people of the authority to govern their own communities and requires us to take affirmative steps to remedy that usurpation of governing power. That's in the ordinance that passed. In more than 100 communities in Pennsylvania, Virginia, Maine, and New Hampshire, in the last handful of years, are one ordinance after another that prohibits corporations from taking private property through eminent domain, or prohibits corporations from mining, or from land development, or prohibits corporations from applying sewage sludge, or prohibits corporations from withdrawing water, or from corporate retailing, or from unsustainable energy production, or from hauling toxins through municipalities, or from introducing genetically modified crops. These laws are now in place across those 4 states at the local level. All of them are being challenged in one form or another by the corporations that they're trying to stop and or by the attorney generals of the states. And in all of these cases, what the communities are saying is, the language of the Pennsylvania Constitution is very clear. We are the sovereign people. We govern ourselves. If the state constitution prioritizes corporate rights and state jurisdiction over our rights, then all we need to do is move another step forward and rewrite the Pennsylvania state constitution, because community rights are becoming a major political force in these places. In every one of those 100+ communities, they're also withdrawing corporate constitutional rights in those communities. They're saying, in our township, corporations are not considered persons under law with all of these Bill of Rights protections. It's very interesting. And in 6 of these communities, they're recognizing, for the very first time in US history, the inherent rights of nature to exist and flourish. I want to read you some of the language. This one is actually from the first one that's happening in California, in the city of Mount Shasta. Kind of amusing that it's called a city because it's teeny-weeny. It's at the base of Mount Shasta. The following ordinance, and I'm just going to read you a few paragraphs from it. Here's the purpose of the ordinance. This is in the legal language of the ordinance. One purpose of this ordinance is to recognize and protect the inalienable rights of residents of the city of Mount Shasta, including but not limited to those enumerated in this ordinance, particularly the right to natural water systems and cycles, to self-government in the place of residence, to self, to a healthy environment, to home, to livelihood and cultural heritage. Another purpose is to recognize and protect the inalienable rights of the natural environment of the city of Mount Shasta, including the right to exist and flourish, free from damage caused by alteration of natural water systems and cycles or introduction of toxic and potentially toxic substances, disturbing natural water cycles, including rainfall, the recharging of aquifers, and interfering with access to water by human and natural communities are explicit prohibitions imposed by this ordinance to protect the rights of nature. The people of the city of Mount Shasta understand that certain activities controlled by large corporations have and continue to cause damage to climate, weather, water systems, the soil, and air, and that it is the people's responsibility to prohibit behavior that they deem to be destructive of the natural and human environment within the jurisdictions where they enjoy self-governing rights. State and federal authorities regularly sanction damaging industrial and corporate behavior, and state and federal lawmakers and courts exercise preemptive authority over community attempts to prohibit harmful corporate behavior. The people of the city of Mount Shasta recognize they're forced to endure or attempt to repair the harm to their environment that they have no commensurate authority to prevent under current state and federal law. The people of the city of Mount Shasta adopt this ordinance to correct this error. And one final paragraph. While the state of California and the federal government have bestowed legal protections and immunities upon corporations and those who benefit from them, they have concurrently disallowed the people from making those persons reaping financial benefits from harmful corporate activities bear responsibility for damage inflicted. In light of this fundamental denial of the right of the people to self-determination, the interference with ecosystems' rights to exist and flourish, the denial of people's freedom from chemical trespass, the denial of people's right to natural water cycles, and the denial of the right to demand restitution for harms, the city of Mount Shasta, under authority of the people, subordinates corporations to the rights and self-governance of the people, prohibits corporations from violating rights, and to achieve the purposes herein outlined, enacts this ordinance.